Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing lecture 5, evaluating functions. So if we're ever given a function f of x, what we can do is we can replace the variable with numbers to evaluate the functions at wherever those numbers are. So here's the way it's going to work. You're going to be given a function y equals f of x, y equals f of x, where f is a function of x. And what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate it at x equals some number. Okay, let's just call it c, where c is just going to be a real number. So what we do is we replace the x with a c. So instead of having an x right here, I'm going to have a c instead. And then we're going to work out whatever that turns out to be. Okay, so let's do a couple of these for practice. Number 1, I have f of x equals 2x plus 3. 2x plus 3. And it says find f of 4. Find f of 4. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this same exact function and we're going to be putting in 4 for x. So that means everywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace that with a 4. So I start off by writing f of 4, and then when I get to the function 2x plus 3, I'm just going to replace the x with a 4. So I get 2 times 4 plus 3. 2 times 4 plus 3. And then I work it out based on the order of operations. So I have 2 times 4, so I'm going to multiply this 2 by this 4 first, and that's going to give me 8. And then I bring down the plus 3. And then 8 plus 3, that's going to give me 11. And that's my answer. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm evaluating the function at x equals 4. And it turns out that the function value at 4 is going to be 11. So when we go to graph this function, we're going to get an ordered pair where the x number comes first and the y number comes second. And this one is going to be x is 4, x is 4. And if x is 4, then y is going to be the answer, whatever we get down here, 11. So when I graph this, 2x plus 3, it's going to give us a line, right? It's a linear function. So when I graph it, one of the points that's going to be on that graph is going to be 4, 11. Okay? Let's try number 2. Number 2 is f of x equals x squared minus 4. X squared minus 4. And it says to find f of negative 3. F of negative 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this function and I'm going to replace x with a negative 3. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace that x with a negative 3. So what happens? First thing I do is I write out f of negative 3 and the equal sign. I have an x right here, so I'm going to replace that with a negative 3. Notice that it still has that exponent of 2, so I have to square that number. And then I bring down the minus 4 at the very end. Okay, so now I have negative 3 squared. That's going to be negative 3 times negative 3. That's going to give me a positive 9. And then I bring down the minus 4. And then 9 minus 4, in the end, that's going to give me 5. So one of the points on this function is going to be negative 3, 5. I always put the x first and the y second. Okay? So the answer for that one is going to be a positive 5. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the function and I'm replacing the variable x with a number. And whatever that number is that they give me, that's what I'm going to put in for x. All right, let's try number 3. All right, for number 3, I'm given an absolute value function. I have f of x equals the absolute value of x plus 4. Absolute value of x plus 4. And it says find f of negative 7. Find f of negative 7. So what I need to do is I need to take this absolute value function and replace x with a negative 7. So that's what I'm going to do. So f of negative 7 is going to equal the absolute value of negative 7 plus 4. And then I close up my absolute value sign. Okay, so everything is still in the absolute value symbol. So I'm going to do whatever's on the inside of that symbol, negative 7 plus 4. And that's going to give me negative 3. So then the last thing I have to do is take the absolute value of negative 3, which is going to be positive 3. And that's my answer. So 3 is going to be my answer. When I evaluate the function at negative 7, I get a positive 3. So one of the points on my graph is going to be negative 7, comma 3. All right, let's look at number 4. Now this one is going to be an exponential function. F of x equals 2 to the x minus 1 power. 2 to the x minus 1 power. And it asked me to find f of 4. F of 4. So that's what I need to find. I need to figure out what the function is going to give me at x equals 4. So I write out f of 4, and I keep the function the same. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 4 for x. So I'm going to get 2 to the 4 minus 1 power. All I did was I replaced x with a 4. So now I'm going to work out the exponent first, and then I'm going to take 2 to whatever power it gives me. So what's 4 minus 1? 4 minus 1 is going to give me 3. So what's 2 to the third power? That's basically the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. Multiplying 2 by itself 3 times, that's going to give me 8. And that's it. My answer is 8. So the point on my graph is going to be 4, comma 8. And when you graph this function, what you'll see is the graph is going to go through the point 4, comma 8. So that's evaluating functions. Pretty simple. All you're doing is you're replacing x with a number and seeing what happens. Now let's go to 2 more problems. These are a little bit tougher because for these, you're not going to be evaluating at a number. You're going to be evaluating at some kind of expression. So let's do number 5. Number 5, they give me f of x is equal to 6x squared. 6x squared. And they're telling me to find f of 2a. F of 2a. So now they're telling me to evaluate f at 2a. A is a variable, right? So my answer isn't going to be just a regular number like 1 through 4. It's actually going to be an expression. So let's find f of 2a. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write f of 2a, and then I'm going to keep this function the same. But I'm going to replace x with a 2a and see what happens. Okay? So I bring down my 6. I put 2a inside parentheses, and then I square it because the exponent up here is a 2. So now I have to square 2a. What happens if I square 2a? I'm going to get 2 times 2 is 4. And if I square a, I'm going to get a squared. And then I close up my parentheses. Okay, so now the last thing I need to do is multiply everything by 6. And that's just going to multiply the 6 by the 4 to get 24. And then the a squared comes along for the ride. Okay? Now, if you wanted to write it as an ordered pair, the 2a would come first since you're evaluating at 2a, and then the 24a squared would be last since that's technically the y value. Okay, let's try number 6. For number 6, they give me f of x is equal to 3 to the x plus 4 power, to the x plus 4 power. And they need me to find f of a minus 2. A minus 2. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to keep the function the same. The only thing I'm going to change about it is I'm going to replace the x with an a minus 2 and see what happens. So I have f of a minus 2. I start off with that. I have a 3. And instead of putting an x up here, I'm going to put in an a minus 2. So I'm going to replace the x with an a minus 2, and then I'm going to add 4 to the end. I'm going to add 4 to the end. So what happens here? Well, the only thing I can do is I can combine the negative 2 and the positive 4. So that's what I'm going to do first. And negative 2 plus 4 is going to give me 2. Positive 2. So I'm going to have a plus 2. And that's pretty much the only thing I can do, right? So now when I write my ordered pair, my a minus 2 is going to come first. And then my y value is going to be 3 to the a plus 2 power. And then I'm done. So for these, it's a little bit more difficult than evaluating at a number, but really all you're doing is you're replacing x with whatever they tell you to replace it with. And then you kind of simplify it and then you work it out. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is to evaluating functions. Okay? That is evaluating functions, and I hope that helps.